of our lost the first responders. You all could just keep his family in your thoughts and prayers, and then Brandy's family and so. Um. First on our agenda is Director Green. Come on up.
Okay, what I have is the heat and air for the second floor of the courthouse proposals. I have three of them here. The totals are at the top, if you can see that.
Is this?
Nava Construction, he kind of did his a little bit different.
Yeah.
It wasn't what I asked, but this is all I had.
Does this compare to the other quotes
It's the
as far as
same
what's
final,
included?
it's the same final price. But he didn't separate the zones out on that part of it. Plus, he put in some furnaces instead of the split systems.
Yeah, I think it was an issue with space and everything.
No, I'm recommending the comfort experts because of the they are taking care of all the electric, the whole 9 yards. And they have a 6-year warranty with that for cleaning the tunes. And the other ones do not, and the one does not take care of the electric, so we got add-on electric on J&K.
Yeah.
And it'd be quite a bit more.
Electric, you probably a good 15,000-20,000, yes.
What area or zone are you talking about?
We are naming them different zones. Like, zone 1 might be the courthouse, zone 2 could be small claims in that situation.
Have you talked to any of them when they get going on?
No, I have not. Not the exact date, no. No, Comfort experts are out of South Bend. They are a pretty good sized company. J&K, they're out of South Bend, which has an employee down at Plus Guy in Winnemac area. I've dealt with them before through the school. Nova Construction. Not dealt with them before. They're from around here. And I also got one, it's a commercial on the very back of that. Through McGrath Refrigeration. You guys have that one? Yep. That is a commercial unit. I know you guys decided not, we wasn't gonna go that way, so, but I left that in there just so you would know the difference in price.
It's
Yeah.
big difference.
But it is a commercial unit that is made for commercial buildings that, I could go home and sit there and do everything from my house.
Right,
Like, pretty much like the Joe does now.
okay.
Tony, he can sit there and, go home and calculate everything in the house for the jail.
Which, being the courthouse, it's. I don't think that's realistic.
No.
I wish we knew more of a timeline when they could
Right,
start on
you say this is the one you recommend?
Comfort Experts, Bruce Johnson. I think he does a lot of coaching around here from schools and stuff, yeah.
Go with him if we, but we ask him to make sure, you know, it's not like a roof deal, can't get started on.
I'm sure it wouldn't be that long, because they are pretty good size.
Right.
And this is split up in 5 zones,
What's that?
or 5 different zones we've got this split into. This,
Some of them, I asked him to do 4, but some of them, I think he did 5.
it looks like
Still
it's,
equal the amount.
It still equals all the same systems, you know, he just put like the meeting room up there next to the clerks. Now, this is for the whole second story. It's not just for the clerks department,
Right,
it.
because Mark first told me we're doing the second story.
Mhm.
So that's what this is,
Mhm.
for the second story.
Right.
could I make a motion like that we use them if he can start on it within a couple of weeks or so?
And you can, are you using the same person for each zone?
yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
being that it's more.
Oh, yes, yes, thank you.
Contingent upon the start date, and if it's too far out, it needs to be reviewed again.
That's my motion.
second,
All those in favor?
Right. oh, yeah,
Yeah.
now we're paying for it. This was part of the things I was hoping to throw into ARPA
Yeah.
is, that was, I mean, it's a one-time, hopefully one-time thing. We won't have to redo again for years. It has to do with the ventilation system, which, you know, was at least an ancillary concern through the pandemic. I think it's a good use for ARPA funds.
We'll need to go in front of the council on the 21st.
Right. And Dave, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, King Camp or ARPA, I think that would qualify.
I would say either ARPA or seeded.
Yes.
I mean, you
There's-
guys are using up, I mean, for payroll purposes, you're using a lot of ARPA next year. We have plenty in seeded too, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much seat, it's.
And we are gonna go into finishing the remodel on that second floor. Nothing extensive, but I mean, quite a bit.
Maybe you should take that from seated then. And take the
Well,
seated air conditioning from ARPA.
Are we on track to have ARPA depleted? By the spring of next year?
We have to have it depleted by
Yeah,
26.
26. I gotta have a
Just-
plan by then. the next-
Yeah, just a plan by the end of 24. Just our short haul.
I think,
short hauls.
I think the sooner it's gone, the better, and that way we don't have to worry about it later and have it surprise us, but. If you want, yeah, if you want.
No, I think
do it
our
differently.
personally. Council, you know, right?
So 21st at 4:30, be in that chair,
This one.
not your chair, your chair.
She's talking to him,
And have at least 8 more copies ready.
8 more.
yes, at least.
You let me remind me the time of the day.
Yeah, I will.
Well, just have a copy of the one electronically that the commission, you already seen one night.
Yeah.
We don't need to see the other bids then, if that's what you're recommending.
Okay.
Yeah, just the one.
I got a text message from the clerk. I was just curious. I think I would have thought commercial, if it's only a little bit more, would have been better, but she said.
Well, it was
Air marshal is double.
Yeah, it's double, so it's round.
Yeah, you're welcome to look at them.
The commercial setup was $218,725.
Is it warranty better on the commercial or the same?
It's a little bit better, 8-year warranty,
How many?
8,
2 years
Wow.
more.
but pretty much all material has got 1 year, whether it's commercial or residential.
We've gotten by with residential units for a long time. I think everyone would say that. I mean. Like 50% more, it might be worth considering.
And you got quotes on tree removal?
Yeah, we have a tree that's leaning over the warehouse into the big white oak. And then we also have one that's leaning into the warehouse building itself. And there's three, and one is pretty much starting to rot too, so it's gonna fall sooner or later. There are three big locust trees, about, I don't know, foot and a half around, that need to be topped off first and then brought down.
And I did go look at it, something they, their email. And he's thinking about the one playing on up, it's about that big.
And I called 5 or 6 different people, I got 2 quotes on it, so. Both of these are licensed and insured, and of course, Comfort Experts is too, so.
Yeah.
Are they both from around here?
Yes, yes. One from Jetson, one from Knox here, Nate.
Yeah, they're doing the same work, correct?
Yes.
They're both doing the brush and everything.
Yeah, they're all doing the brush. They're both doing the brush and gonna remove the brush and just gonna leave the logs laid on the ground. And then we are gonna cut those up. I am, get rid of them. We're gonna remove the stumps.
That were moving.
Yeah, separate you two.
Well, let's say, let's do the RNC tree and stump removal company, go with them.
I'll make a motion to accept the quote for tree work from RC Tree and Stump Removal.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
That was for $2,000.
2,000 even,
Yeah.
where do you want to pay that from? The money you give that. Okay.
Yeah,
will they be able to start with? Can they start on right away?
Both of them said they could. At that time when I got the quote, so. Guess you never know.
Right.
You don't-
As long as they don't drag it down.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we used to dragging out stuff.
Yeah.
that all you got for us?
Yeah, that's it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's that.
And then, we have to discuss easy part-time pay increase report.
Do we? Okay,
Which, I mean, it's already been discussed
Right.
before, and you can't do a raise.
we're not doing we don't have a mechanism to do that and targeted raise. If we had a desire to anyway.
Unless we change the whole thing now.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a pay increase starting January 1st. so.
Yeah, 5 months from now. Do we get it sorted that they're actually getting that work done? And not turning people away? That need an appointment run over the
I
BZA?
have not heard them
Okay,
complain. Have you, in your office?
I don't know about turning the work away. I do know that they hired a part-time person. She came in Friday for her onboarding and she'll be starting this week.
okay.
And, Dan.
Second, my name's Sean.
Yeah,
I just wanted to come in front of you, gentlemen, just to let you know about the Johnson subdivision. In the beginning, I was told that we could use cold pug for the asphalt. But after doing some research, there is a ordinance, I guess, or subdivision specifications that we're gonna have to follow. So,
Is it called for hot mix?
yes,
Did we do the first part?
no, we did not.
No, because usually the developers have to develop the roads and then you
This is-
accept the plan.
This is that road that was accepted before it was built,
Yeah.
that circle thing we had in front of
Not
us
your
a
time,
couple months ago.
years ago.
This was, yeah,
Yeah, because on here, it's like dated August 20th, 2001.
well, that's when that was, the road in question was accepted prior to 2010.
It's been an inventory, so I mean, we gotta
Yeah.
take care of the roads.
Okay, so
Was it 7?
I think it was 2007. I seen that on the blueprint. 2007. But anyway, so what we need to do is put down 6 inches of number 53 stone, followed by 2.5 inches of binder with 1.5 inches of surface material. So if we don't follow this procedure, then that's gonna open up Pandora's box
Mm-hmm.
for everybody else to say, we didn't do it, how can we manually make this be done, right? So the good news is, I was told it was 4,000 feet long, but after talking with Mr. Johnson and looking at the maps, it's closer to 3,000. So it went from about 212,000 down to like 165,000 for material costs. So we hope to start on that towards the end of August. So that's all I have. Any questions? No?
I think I see him here today. Lonnie from the city is here. We spoke about this just on my way to the meeting. I also was messaging Autumn, the city attorney, about it. The city's concern, and Lonnie, I don't want to speak for you back there. I know you're going to show up and maybe mention something, was that they want to be expunged from any liability since the assessment for, the cost to pay that we were collected a while ago. We should have done it by now. Thanks, since there are specs that the city needs us to follow, since they've got subdivision ordinance, since it's within their 2-mile buffer, the city just wants something from us stating that. I mean, they don't have a problem with it, obviously, they just said that they want something from us saying that anything prior to the paving that was done by the county, doesn't fall on the town, which I don't think is unreasonable. I don't really know what there could be there that would get us into any hot water, but I think the mayor had. Maybe Lonnie, you'd mentioned that the mayor was just talking about that loosely with you today, maybe. So I think, if you want me to, I can draw something up, just saying that, any actions that happened or should have happened prior to the paving date, which we've never really done anything, so right on the actions and sue us for is just, we're following the county, not the city. But we're gonna be following their specs when we pave anyway, so I don't think that's a huge concern, but anyway, that was passed along to me. I wanted to pass that along to you, if Lonnie has anything else. I know we came here today to make sure that was a consideration.
Yeah, essentially, because it falls in the 2-mile jurisdiction back in 2000 or 1950. The whole 2-mile jurisdiction was all established. It was for the essential of the planning. The planning commission and everything, and in with all of that, we've had subdivision ordinances that structure how the streets are to be built and all of that. And things, none of that has happened in the past since the planning commission and the approval has been done. Ever since then, just to go by the 2-mile jurisdiction, there's been only a certificate of approval that's been wrote up to make sure everything falls within the city setbacks and guidelines and all of that. And in with all of that is, how the streets are to be constructed and the city's concern is just that there's no liability if the county goes on and does it however they wish to do it, that the city be eliminated from any liability.
So you're just saying if they didn't do hot mix, if they did pub, that something like that would.
Exactly, and the thickness of the sub base of the 53 limestone, if any of that's not inspected by the city or any of that, there's no liability then that rests on the city.
Basically,
You're saying you're waiving your inspection.
If you waive any liabilities and any of that pending more of guidelines of how the city and county can further work better to help the 2 mile jurisdiction. That since I've taken this position, that seems to really be a hot topic, especially with the people that live in there and have some type of guidelines or an understanding, according to the attorneys, the 2 mile only applies to zoning issues, not to ordinance issues, unless it's specified through the planning commission for subdivisions and some of that stuff that's created. We're currently working on memorandum that kind of puts everybody in their own lane and everybody knows each other's responsibilities. Take care of that.
Let's write something up for them.
So they would make, I mean,
Yeah, they're agreeing to waive their inspection.
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, if we want to allow them to inspect it and have a hand in it, then, there's no purpose in a release, but if we're saying, hey, we want to do it how we want, and they're saying, that's fine, as long as you release us from liability. I don't think that's unreasonable.
But do we want to put it in? Do you want to put it in as a waiving?
If you guys would rather have them do their inspection, they would, yeah. I would think that probably needs to be in there.
I mean, they're inspecting, they're liable, you know what I mean? We're gonna.
So be co-liable, yeah.
Exactly.
Test this whole 2 mile thing to begin with. They want to have any good say over that, just annex it. Make through that process.
2 mile. I
Yeah,
don't understand.
I don't either. Yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, gentlemen.
Stanley?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm just giving you an update on the camera server project for the jail that had been in the works for a few months preceding my appointment.
Okay.
July 18th and 19th, Stanley Securities technicians came out with the server, completed the swap, removed their loaner server. Camera functionality is working as complete as expected. While the technician was out, he identified some issues with server 2 for the cameras and advised that we start thinking about replacement for that one. No idea how much longer it will last, but it is showing signs of wear.
Any estimate on the replacement cost?
He did not give me any replacement costs. We did not talk about numbers.
Well, that's not the one that we just replaced.
Right, it's the other one.
It's the redundant backup.
No,
Or is-
camera, server 1 does half of the cameras there. Server 2 does the other half.
When did we replace server 1 or something?
Yeah, it was physically replaced July 19th.
So that was like, what, 3,000?
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Well, we just talked, so.
It's just under advisement to start planning ahead for the future of that one. As it is right now, it's working fine. Knock on wood.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, talk to them again, maybe ask them a price, probably the same as the first one.
I've got. Remember that was one of the things he tried to, when I got him to work on the first one,
Yes,
he said the same price for the other one, but
Oh, okay.
that's what he said. It could last forever too, so I mean,
right,
you know.
Yeah.
I'm speaking with 3 companies in general that are all wanting to do upgrades for the security system at the jail. I'm trying to figure out details for specific components of the job and going from there. And once we are ready to settle on a decision for replacing that, I'll have more information for them to go ahead.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
About that though, we've had people trying to get us to replace all that stuff numerous times. It's been tons of money. When I talked to Stanley, they got the lock company come out, they were gonna change some slabs out and some locks. And they got the locks working. I'm just curious, why are we still thinking about changing the whole system out? Instead, it's a 7-year-old jail. I mean, I told Skillman, like, maybe I should contact Skillman again and say, look, this is unreasonable. We're talking about changing the whole system.
I'd say right now we're not.
Yeah, well, at my last couple of weeks, I've been getting contacted by vendors which, with plans for a complete system
That was from the other. IT guy.
renewal. And I've been kind of just talking with them, getting on the same page about, no, we don't really need an entire system renewal, but components of it. We will be having to look into possibly, even with the door lock system, if we're not happy with the performance that Stanley Securities has been doing right now. That as an option, maybe to get somebody else to do it faster.
It's a big spending.
Yeah,
And make sure Jack is in the loop on any of those discussions you have.
Yeah.
Because he's the one that uses that building.
every time I find out something concrete, I pass it along.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the vendor claims in the amount of $645,260.06?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Is there a motion to approve the payroll claims in the amount of $289,791.17?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the minutes from Monday, July 17th, 2023.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Something else.
It was your point.
Oh, it was a joint session. Oh, yeah, I remember that. It was a fun session. We just need a broader definition of the word.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes from Monday, July 17th, 2023?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Motion to approve the minutes from Monday, July 3rd, 2023.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, this is for the leave of absence, so. Yeah, we don't need to.
You should have formally approved it.
So a motion to approve the leave of absence. For Kelly Graham. Deputy treasurer.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. I don't.
Mark, you got any?
Nothing I can think of.
Justin,
So.
none for you, Rachel. Does anyone else have anything for us? Got a couple things.
Couple quick things. The first thing, a few people in the county have been asking about arrangements for Mr. Wilcox. I got a call after our meeting earlier. They're having a celebration of life at the Sanford Firehouse at 2 o'clock on August 19th. So I asked the commissioners if you could make a proclamation that it'll be Mike Wilcox Day. The second thing, just a real quick solar update. Talked to Charlie about this a little bit. First of all, there's been a lot of questions, some emails that I got that said, you know, that they reached out to commissioners, or reached out to somebody and didn't get back to them about solar. I've been letting people know that, you know, you guys, we kind of focused it on one person. I volunteered to be that person. So not to get their feelings hurt, if they don't hear back from somebody, like, you know, and then it takes time to get the answers. Lately, people have been asking about emergency response to the solar fields. There's all these things going on the internet about fires and everything else. And this risk of hazmat, we talked before about how most of it's in there. But for the NextEra project, there will be a training that's going to be held for all the first responders in that area and mutual aid around April 2024. The reason why it's not happening until then is that they want to do it at a site where it's battery ready. There's been so many questions about hazmat. The facilities in Jasper are battery ready, so the fire training will take place there. That way everybody can see all aspects of it. There's no batteries right now in the Stark County NextEra project. The other thing is that NextEra will be at the state fair Friday. If anybody wants to talk to NextEra in person.
It's one thing I think we need to look into, or if it's even possible at this point to implement any sort of standards as far as, you know, how these battery installations will go in, if they go in, and what type of either fire suppression or asset protection into the surrounding area gets installed.
There is a code for that. It does require containment. But generally it's unfortunately a let it burn scenario, because if you put water on the batteries, then it causes an explosion. And so, but there is a containment device that's built underneath it.
Yeah, I would just think, and this is just wild ideas that come to me in the night, that, you know, there's been enough incidents, enough lessons learned that, you know, new mitigations have been developed since, you know, large scale battery installations have been rolled out, you know, over the last 5-6 years. There's been plenty of incidents to draw from as far as lessons learned.
Well, I think you brought that up in the EMA meeting.
Well, the big thing I always go back to that just plain scares the crap out of me is this incident similar to what happened in Australia several years ago, where a fire caught in a battery installation, a large scale battery installation, and burned for weeks.
Well, even the smaller stuff like that, fire in New York a while back with the scooters. So I mean, even in Stark County, people have scooters and they have electric bikes and things like that. It is important to make sure people don't try to buy these ultra cheap batteries.
Yeah.
And replace the OEM battery with these. things,
Yeah, well,
because they're
yeah.
dangerous. They cause fires.
Lithium ion batteries are not rugged, in my opinion, from what I can tell. I mean, I've seen punctures do a lot of damage to a punctured lithium ion battery cause a lot more damage than any other type of punctured battery. And so, quite frankly, I'm scared. And we need to find, it'd be nice if we had something that made me a little less scared.
Yes.
Can I add a little bit to your point there? In the state of New York, at least they woke up to what's going on. There's no particular safety standards for such batteries. And they are pushing the commission to help develop something that would be more, or bring the batteries into a more safe state, help overcome such problems with batteries.
From what I can see, I think we're at least 2 years away from seeing those types of batteries attached to the solar projects. It gives us time to figure something out.
Gives time for technology to catch up.
That too.
I'd rather be ahead of the game too also.
Exactly.
But just to reiterate, currently in the Stark County project at Nextera, there are no battery installations currently.
No, there's not.
We just need to train everybody on that, and then I'll be talking to Mammoth too, talk to Bass Lake a little bit last night about some different trainings over there. Something similar will happen at Bass Lake. I don't have a time for that yet, but
Yeah, they told us for a long time they were gonna get us out there and it hasn't got us out there. so.
well, I mean, again, it doesn't really,
Right.
it doesn't make any sense to do it till it's installed and
Right,
ready.
but they told us early on that they were gonna.
Yeah,
and-
it's still gonna happen. I
Yeah.
just talked to Mammoth the other day too, so. It makes more sense to, have finished roads, finished egress, finished entry and.
At least they got addresses out there. I don't know if you guys.
On the fences.
I don't know if you're having them do that on the west side of the county or
They're
not.
supposed to.
I pushed out there because we'd had some calls and they're giving us intersections and they gave us maps. I said, I told them, I said, you need addresses for everybody, So
Which I know the highway superintendent, he was pushing for that. Whatever over there, so.
I know I pushed out here just because we had some calls out there. And, at least they did it over here. I hope they continue over there if they. I know it's a pain on the plan commission and all that to, figure out an address for them, but
So they follow through. Does anyone else have anything for us?
stick my hand up again, but this conversation brought up a concern. I mean, we're getting all these solar installations throughout the county. And there hasn't been that much talk about battery banks in it. And then, well, I'm kind of hearing that is it, and maybe I'm hearing it wrong, are these installations gonna be considered complete with battery installations or not?
Currently, there are no plans to put them in the Stark County footprint. They're actually gonna reside in Jasper. It does have batteries involved, but it's in Jasper. It's stored. It's
So we're-
actually stored there
We're gonna be battery free.
right now, yeah.
And does that mean that they won't be allowed per ordinance to add that later, or is that something they could do at will at any time?
I mean. We would have to deal with it on per case basis through ordinance and through inspection and, permitting, things like that. So
So they would have to apply for permits to add.
Yes,
Just curious, in the ordinance right now, it does allow for battery.
they're battery ready.
So you're saying that
I'm saying
we
that
need
there are
a
no,
separate ordinance. You're saying there's no plan, but what he asked was, if they did want to do it, you said we'd have to address that at that time. But the reality is, right now, the way the ordinance is written, they can put a battery plant
the
in.
energy that they're generating right now, the battery facility that's in Jasper County is sufficient for that. They have no need for any further battery.
But that's just next era.
Yes, I haven't spoken to them about it. I just.
Or Hoosier.
Um,
So again, just coming back to his point with the ordinance is that right now, the way the ordinance is written, they can absolutely put a battery system in because our ordinance allows it.
I think what Mark's saying is that since it's a little bit delayed, that'll give us some time to catch up with technology. And, see how things work out with these other battery facilities. These aren't the first solar panel farms that have been ever placed in the world, and it's not the first time they've ever used batteries.
And I'm not saying that it isn't, I'm
Right.
saying that our ordinance needs to be addressed before they try to put one here.
We already have an ordinance.
Right, which allows for it with no questions asked.
I wouldn't say that it has a permitting.
You
process.
volunteered to be the point man. Take it. We're on volunteer.
If no further questions.
Oh, can I do this again? I'm sorry, but a while back, I mean, when I started coming to these meetings, like. It was the first time I ever came in such a arena, but. One thing that I noticed, and I sent emails to Charles, Mark and Don. And that was back in until June 26th. And I didn't hear nothing back, so I found it necessary to resubmit my email. And considering the way we get snail mail around here, I felt compelled to send it, and I tried to send it differently than the way I did originally. But instead of reading all this, all I know is that when we come here, and I know you all want participation, you want people to hear what's being said, so that everyone feel free to express their concerns or ask questions or hear what you guys have to say. All I know is when I was in the first meeting, I was in the second row and couldn't hear it here. And that's why I stuck my hand up and asked if, can we have more volume? And someone was kind enough to turn the volume up to those speakers, and it helped. But the next meeting was a lot of people here. And there were people in the hallway. This was packed in here. And they actually had people in the hallway, which that's where we were at the time. And someone from this room went out there and say, well, they're going to turn a TV on, so we'll be able to see and hear what's going on in here. And so my wife stayed in that room because she suffers a little bit of hearing loss. And well, she stayed out there, and the TV never was turned on. But soon, shortly thereafter, people started getting aggravated, and they were leaving the hallway, which afforded us the opportunity to come closer to your room. And standing in the hallway, we couldn't hear much. Some people by the doorway were maybe hearing more than we were. And people were like, what they say, and the audio was just terrible. I mean, we were without any clue as to what was being said or done in this room. So it would have been nice to just hear what's going on. So what I'd like to ask is, could there be better accommodations to the people of Stark County, so when they make their long drive, go through trouble showing up here, at least can we do something to improve the sound so people can hear what's going on? So, I guess I was kind of really disappointed that a lot of these little TV in the hallway or lobby wasn't turned on. Unless I was misinformed, but that's what was heard. And feel like we're kind of being silenced in a certain way, and I think that ought to be a concern to you all. So that's all I have to say, and maybe I won't have to raise my hand again.
Is your name Mark then?
Yes.
Okay.
I know
I
that-
responded.
I
to
know
you.
you were kind enough to, I guess you found the email in the junk box. I mean, that's the way it works around here,
Mhm.
but. So. Thanks for pointing it out that you did.
Well, I mean, we'll take all that under advisement. I mean, the speakers sound, I mean, we ought to be able to
Something,
do something with it, and that TV out there, I mean, we can tie it into these, I'm sure somehow.
maybe.
Because if there's any expectation for what we're able to hear off of that thing through YouTube. I know we went back to that here, or try to hear. But a lot of that sound on that system is so garbled, and I do have obviously better hearing than my wife. She doesn't yell at me, but
A lot.
That's something I would never admit to.
We're honest.
Stanley, you think you look into that?
Yeah, see what you can come up with.
Okay.
And they reserve the front row for hearing impaired.
Dude, I think a lot of it,
I'll
people that come up here don't speak into that mic. I think, well,
Having attended these from sitting on that side of the camera, I don't know, it's an issue of sound as people not speaking loud enough and clear enough.
Right.
You get a lot of blah, 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 and that's what you're listening to on the TV.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is people mumbling and not speaking up or clearly.
People in the audience or people on the panels?
Kind of both,
Oh, it's Rachel, then, okay. I was-
but more so the audience, but
Could it be a microphone driven beat?
Well, I think these guys are right. We just all need to be better about speaking in the microphone. And probably, I'm bad for it. I'm
The
sure.
type and quality of the microphone can also be a large component of.
We've gone
improving
through
that
at
situation.
least 3 iterations of microphones
Yeah.
chasing this problem.
Yeah.
And the one there's only one microphone out there for the
Right.
public.
Yeah.
Right above your, oh, yeah.
So anyway, I make copies of my email if you need it. Thank you for your consideration.
Does anyone else have anything for us?